I'm going to tell you about an event called the Hello World Open. I think most of you had heard about it, which is great. It makes my job a lot easier, so you don't have to. I don't have to tell you everything about it. So, who am I? First of all, I'm a coder. I'm also a coach. I help teams succeed. I help them build test tools and stuff like that. I've been working at Reactor since 2007. I'm an active code camp designer and participant. You'll know what that means in a couple of seconds. And in the Hello World Open 2014, I did the concept and the track designs. And I also like whiskey and I take photos. And that's my nick in the corner, which you can see on GitHub. It says Sing, and that's what on IRC or whatever where you can catch me. So this is what the Hello World Open website looked like before qualifying, and it pretty much that's it. Develop an AI for a race car, become world champion. So a coding competition, why the hell would you do that? It doesn't make any sense, does it? But it does. At Reactor, we are educators. We really want to bring coding to the whole world so that everybody knows what coding is and everybody knows what coders are. We want to make it accessible, and we want to make coders look like superstars. So, to recap, I'm going to show you a short video from the Hello World finals. It's about 1 minute long, and then you can get a nice idea of what it looked like, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the history and how it all came to be, and a little bit of behind the scenes stuff that no one's ever seen before. This is we had fire, and all of the band members were actually also coders, which is awesome. So, a short history lesson about code camps. Code camps at Reactor. You get about 20 to 30 developers together. You ship them to some remote location somewhere. You divide them into teams of 3 or 4 at max. You give them an NP hard problem. And you give them some cool gear. And then you pit them against each other. And that's what it looks like. This is from 2002. there's another pic. You might see a familiar fellow in the background. And it was all about this game, Pong. Now, it was really, really easy to make a client and a server for Pong, but this problem becomes hard because you can't know what the other AI is going to do. But we ran a lot of games, and it was a lot of fun. So, what if we made all of Finland a code camp? And that's what led us to the very first Hello World Open. And that was held in 2012. And we together that whole event in about the space of, say, 3 months. So right after we had coded all our bots on the previous picture, we put together an event and invited teams from Finland to code their own bots and pit them against each other as well. It looked kind of like this. That's from the finals. We didn't really make a huge fuss about it. We only had a few publications. We published the info on our website. We were thinking, okay, maybe 20 teams will show up, and then, that'll be it. But at the end of the sign-up period, we had 200 teams. So we were up against a bit of a problem that we didn't know. People were actually interested in this. We ran the qualifications for this in Amazon Web Services. So each of the bots had a sort of instance, and then we had a server, and then it amounted to a huge amount of servers, because when we pit 200 teams against each other, you can calculate how many games that is, and it's not just one game. We ran the qualifications about 3 times, and they were ready about 10 minutes before the results had to be in, so that was good. But I think we managed to do something here, because these guys look really happy and they kind of look like they're stars. And here are the winners. So, to quote, and if at first you succeed, try again. So we tried to do this again in 2013, but we completely ran out of time. But we had some design principles now. We knew that participating should be really, really easy, so we should lower the entry. The controls should be really easy, so you shouldn't have to give, the client shouldn't have give too many different controls. It should still be NP hard, because if we are going to make this any larger, it's gotta be hard. It should be a spectator sport, so that people who are watching are interested in some way. And then, because of the previous code camps, it should be JSON over TCP. That seemed like a really good idea. So, we wanted to make a car game. We wanted it to look like Slicks and Slide or something like that. But there's a few problems here. If you have AI clients and they're supposed to be easy, how can you make this game, how can you make a client that's so easy that it only requires a couple of lines of code and the car doesn't get stuck? So, because that's really boring if the car is just running against the wall or something like that. And also, it's actually kind of hard to describe this track to the clients, because you had to send a picture and then you have to analyze the picture, and it's kind of hard. So we developed a really cool solution to this. It's slot car racing. It's really easy. There's just really gas, and we added turbo, of course, later on. And it's really easy to make a bot that finishes this race. You just set the gas on something and it's gonna run around the track. And the track can be described now in parts. So there's a straight, it's this long, there's now a curve, the radius is this, it's this long, and now you can easily make the track so that it can be described over JSON. And the physics of slot car racing seemed kind of easy. So this is what our first prototype looked like. You can see the 4 cars there, and the round track, and the switches. Those are things that came with the Scalextric digital. So now you can actually switch tracks in and be in front of the other cars. That makes this much more interesting than just running around the same track. So we wanted to test this concept, and we tested it twice, but not really because we had to and it wasn't proven. We really did it because it was so much fun. And we did it first in the spring of 2013, and then again in the fall, and well, this is what we have. Graphics for the first camp, and then on the second one. And I knew that we had succeeded because right on the bus ride to our secret location, you can see people with laptops, and they're already coding. Here's Atte coding some C, and here's some really cool gear, because this is what we gave everybody. And in the first camp, all the graphics were basically 2D. We did a 3D demo, but it was impossible to watch because the cars are too fast. Sadly, I don't have any screenshots from this one because we really took that code and went right on to make another camp with it. The winning team was in red and they used C. Here's a picture from the second camp. The organizers, we also made a bot, and since we didn't give the participants the physics, we knew the physics, so we thought, okay, we're gonna make the ultimate bot. They're never gonna defeat us. We made it analyze the track, and then had optimal speeds, and well, it took about 24 hours for these guys to defeat us every single time, so we knew, okay, it's good enough. Here's some of the first 3D graphics from the second camp. We organizers mostly coded some of this during the time that we were there. And here's some crazy stuff happening. A proper screenshot. And here are the winners, and they actually used Node.js and Bacon.js, which is a really nice functional library for JavaScript. If you're ever into that, check it out. Okay, so we know it was fun. Now what? Okay, it's time to invite everybody in. So in the very end of 2013, the Hello World Open account tweets we're gonna have championships in 2014. The sign-up started actually in March. At that point, we pretty much only had like the sign-up stuff, like the very, very basic necessary stuff, because we had no idea how much interest this would actually produce. But our marketing department here had a little surprise for us, because they were thinking, we're not going to have any sort of traditional advertising. We're going to go where the coders are, and the coders are on Reddit, Hacker News, and all of these Slashdot, all of these sites. So they went there, they did all their grassroots stuff, and on Hacker News, on April 1st, there's this news that says, win $10,000 by creating a race car bot in Haskell, Scala, or Clojure. So on April 1st, we had 700 teams. And that's when we kind of were thinking, okay, this is for real, and now we're actually going to have to do everything. So the timeline looks roundabout like this. It's the first half of the, or 1/4 of the year. At the very end, we had 2,020 teams. Some of them are testing teams, and not all of them actually made anything, but you know, it was still pretty good. We gave everybody about 2 weeks of coding, and there were so many threads on Reddit about how I want a little bit more time, please. Well, we couldn't give them any. It's a competition. It's not fair. The top 20, we knew pretty much who they were at the end of coding because it was pretty clear to see from the results of the testing of who were really, really good. But there were some surprises there that we never knew about. The reason for this was that a lot of the teams wrote cars that were really, really, really fast, but they didn't think that, you know, the other guys would be in front of them. So they ignored the big part of the problem, which is during the competition, we saw some really fun stuff on Twitter, like the visualizations of telemetry from the cars that people did. Everybody had like their own solutions. There's billion pictures of people at blackboards drawing up slot cars, and that was so nice to see. We slowly brought out some new tracks so that, you know, there was a little variety there. And then on Reddit, there starts to be a little thread about that there's some problems with the physics. But, you know, we thought it's probably not a big thing. But we did find some bugs at that point. We fixed those. So onwards to the qualifications. We break down the 2,000 teams into 3 regions for the qualifications. And instead of having 3 qualifying rounds, which would have given us 6 cars on the track, we end up having 8 teams because we had to have 2 wildcard rounds because, remember, we had some physics bugs. So we actually had to redo a couple of the qualifications so that it was absolutely fair for everybody. Now, all of a sudden, we needed 2 more colors. That was never done. So, heck, we did that. That was the easy part. We never tested anything with 8 cars on the tracks because we were always thinking there's just gonna be 6. So now we had to test everything. But, you know, actually it worked. There was no problems with having more cars on the track. And we get down to the finals, and this is what our graphics looked like. What you're seeing here is the amount of course, a lot of work. But what you're also seeing here is something that's running in Chrome. So that's all in the browser. It's all 3JS, and that's what we knew how to do. It probably would have been easier in Unity. Because we organized the finals with Supercell, everybody thought that they did this. But actually all of the technical stuff from Hello World Open was reactors. So you saw some of the finals already. It was awesome. We had some tracks still in store that the competition had never ever seen before. They were cool. I was featured on Yle Netcast, which was awesome. I've never been this famous. And also, during the finals, the Polish team, Need for Speed, they fixed their bumping algorithm. So they actually knew how to bump the other cars off of the track. And that meant they won all of the last 3 races, and they got big wins. And fireworks. And C wins again. See? There was a definite thing going on there. Okay, that thing is not working. So we had some national media coverage. We had NTV, Yle, blah, 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 Today, Helsingin Sanomat, Iltalehti, Kauppalehti, and so on. And then we had some international media coverage. NBC, ZDNet, ABC, woo, wow. That was a lot. That was lovely. And our marketing team were ecstatic. They were so ecstatic, they made this video.
Made a coding event bigger than the Sochi Olympics.
Turn up the volume on it.
Turn up. Yeah.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the beginning. We are Reaktor, a leading creative technology company in Finland. We wanted to expand to international markets, especially to USA and Japan, but we faced a challenge. How could we improve our awareness with decision makers from these markets? So, we decided to twist our strategy and get their attention through coders. We needed to find a way to get the whole programming world buzzing and talking, preferably about us. A few years back, we'd managed to capture the attention of our domestic coding scene by engaging the best Finnish programmers in a competition. If it worked in Finland, why couldn't it work on a global level too? Together with our amazing partners, we decided to plan, construct and carry out the first ever Coding World Championships. The event had to be as exciting as Formula One. So, we asked programmers around the world to code an artificial intelligence that drove a virtual race car. The cars, driven by the code written by the competitors, raced on a virtual racetrack. The creators of the fastest car would be crowned the world's best coders. As simple as it may sound, this was a challenging enough task even for the world's most experienced coders. Simultaneously, the visualization of the task was simple enough for anyone to follow. Word started to spread amongst coders in social media without a cent being spent. The coverage with technology and gaming media grew rapidly, and the traditional media quickly followed. The competition was a huge success, gathering 4,152 participants from 92 countries. Spectacular finals were held in Helsinki and broadcast live. We reached over 300 million people via social and earned media. Oh, and the coders we wanted to get to, they simply loved the whole thing. And to answer your question, yes, we did make it abroad. The fun part? In its first year alone, the competition was bigger than the Sochi Olympics. Thank you, Hello World Open 2014.
The most memorable moment in Hello World Open competition is sun rising from the window, and then we have to say that yes, this is when we draw the line, this is what's going to go out. It has to work. And then pushed my last commits, and then I felt this warm, fuzzy feeling and sleep taking over. So, it's really emotional.
Haha, we made a grown man cry on camera.
Seems to be as easy to make programmers cry.
We're just an emotional bunch. So here's a breakdown of the languages that the competitors used. You could pretty much use any language. All we had is you had to have 2 different scripts that would build your bot and would start it. And of course, a lot of people from Reactor made templates for a lot of these languages. I'm really surprised that some guys tried PHP. I mean, what? But you know.
Do you have a similar list of the success rates of the different languages in the competitions?
I don't actually.
We should.
I think that was also quite fascinating.
Yes. I think most of the winner was C, and there was one Java team in those, and then Python or something like that. So those are all of the languages that were successful are probably in about the top 5. Of course, since we held the previous Hello World Open here, we had a lot more teams from Finland than from anywhere else, and a lot of teams also from Helsinki. And you can see from there that not all of the teams would actually make a bot that would qualify, because we had a CI machine that would test your bot on the track, and if it couldn't perform, we'd just throw it out. So, some tech roundup. We wrote the game server in Scala back in 2013 before the first code camp. It didn't really change that much. We changed the protocol a little bit and little parts here and there, but it wasn't that much. We rewrote the visuals 3 times. I mean, each time we got back to that stuff, we erased everything and started from the beginning. We used Amazon Web Services and then Docker to scale up when we had the 2,000 teams, and then we had to have a huge amount of virtual machines to have them race against each other. And the Hello World Open website was written in Java 7. But it also used Bacon.js, which is excellent. There was quite a lot of people involved. All in all, we had excellent partners, excellent sponsorship, but we had a lot of our own people in. Like, all of these guys, they were all fabulous, actually. Everybody helped in. The original team was about 4 people, and then, you know, it just grew. So, lessons learned. You should definitely have code camps. If you want to know how, ask me. The coders weren't actually as geographically locked as we thought. A lot of the teams had people from whichever country, and they were also from another country and living in some other country. People from Google, they were originally from Russia, and they didn't really feel like their team should be Russian, and so on. So that was kind of maybe a mistake. Maybe we should have just had teams and not countries, because we're more advanced than the Olympics. So even the best coders end up making really hacky solutions when they're under pressure, because this was one of those projects where we didn't really have iterations like we usually do. Instead we had deadlines. So when we had deadlines, we sort of let go of our quality standards. We didn't make as much tests, or you know, we ended up making hacky solutions, and that's why we had to rewrite a lot of stuff. TCP has way too many control layers and is unsuitable for a real-time protocol. That was one of the lessons we learned, because there was such a short response time. So TCP is not good for that. And there's one more thing. I really want to do this again, so maybe next year. And to keep it short, thank you guys, and thanks for listening. And you can ask me anything.
you said you had plenty of servers, so from Amazon.
Yeah.
So how much did it cost to run all of those simulations?
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you an exact figure, but we were in the tens of thousands of dollars region.
Okay.
Yes. Anything else?
Why didn't you run it in DigitalOcean or something cheaper that could have handled also Docker?
Actually, the main reason was that Amazon was our partner, so we actually got a discount.
Okay, well, yeah. that point, yeah. Exactly.
And starting from the very beginning, we had already we had credits from the
Yeah.
previous.
I can understand if Amazon was your sponsor. That kind of changes the game.
Yes.
So if any one of us tries that, it's going to cost a house or something.
No, your house isn't enough.
Yeah, probably.
So, did you ever think during the coding of that thing that maybe we should do it in UDP, it's real time? Or
Yes. But it was far too late by that time. But yeah.
So would a UDP be enough?
yes, because UDP doesn't care.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've also since tested this.
Would have the protocol worked on UDP?
Not as such. UDP needs a lot more you have to write a part of your own control, but there's in the game, if you miss a message or a tick here and there, it doesn't actually matter, because you can get still control from over to the next tick. So if you miss 50 milliseconds, it's not really that bad.
It's kind of like coding in asynchronous way.
Exactly.
You just don't care if you miss some, and
Exactly. It's
You don't
actually
care.
asynchronous.
UDP in simple ways explained is UDP doesn't care.
Depends on the speeds.
No, it's always UDP.
No,
doesn't.
I mean the speeds of the cars. I mean, if the cars go
Yes.
fast enough,
Yes.
you really care about that single message.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's gonna
It actually depends on the sort of how fast the ticks are and how fast the physics are being run. And they were actually being run much faster than the messages were being sent. So we had a sort of better model of the physics than the competitors had. But most of them reverse engineered the physics engine completely by the time that they had finished coding.
So was the physics engine a custom job? Or
Yeah, it was a custom job, and that was really
why?
not invented here syndrome.
We'll do better.
We'll do better.
I think using a custom physics engine for a single line track would be like killing a fly with a sledgehammer though.
At first we thought that would be thing, but then a lot of issues cropped up that we didn't think that could be there. The switches, they kind of, it's different set of physics right there.
Were you still using Amazon then, or were they using some local machines?
No, in the finals we actually used a real-time protocol and a server. So that was a completely different setup, and also that wasn't the best sort of decision because a lot of our competitors did actually have problems with that because the real-time protocol was a little different than the stuff that we used in the qualifications.
How many physics parameters did you use? I guess there were tire friction, weight of the car, power of the engine.
Yeah, I don't remember
Or was it
exactly.
speed versus angle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember, but it wasn't, it's under 10 still.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course everybody on Reddit wanted or said that this is not a true AI competition because you didn't release the physics on time. Well, I disagree. It's a real coding competition because you are thrust into situations where you don't know what's happening until you sort of figure it out yourself. So
Was there any rules about the team sizes? And
Yeah.
what was the average size of the team? Like,
The max team size was it 4, I think? No, it was 3. One of the Brazilians brought their friend on stage. That's why there was 4 of them, I think. The max team size was 3, and the average team size was something like 1.2, because a lot of coders actually signed up by themselves.
yeah. So how well did the single coder teams do?
Not that well, but some of them actually made it to the finals. Yeah, like one of them did. We didn't. We just. But if you made it to the finals, we would only pay the trip to Helsinki for 3 people who were registered. So, and of course, I mean, people would exchange information on Reddit on what they found out, and that was just fine. I mean. I can't tell you about that. I can tell you that we still have the same sort of design principles.
I wonder if you broke any teams. Like, oh shit, they take 1-3. You're out.
All right, I think that's it for questions.
I think we can ask more in sauna.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
of course. So thanks, guys.